4. Moving on to topic number 5, and certainly we're talking about the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback from Alabama, Bryce Young. Guy has been unbelievable this year as a sophomore. First year as the full-time starter for Alabama. As us Patriots fans know, last year it was Mac Jones, as Young sat as a sophomore. And I think it's a great question, Brandon. Is Alabama becoming a quarterback university?
I think the answer's got to be yes. I mean, you look at some of the guys that they've got currently in the NFL with Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones, and then it's that third guy I always forget. Tua, yeah. I don't know how I always forget Tua. We were talking about him last week too. But those top 3, right? And that's most recently. And then it's like they reload. It's like it went from one of those guys to the next guy to the next guy, and then here's your next guy, and he's also the Heisman Trophy winner. So I think you've got to say they've got to be up there with being QBU, man. I can't really, off the top of my head, think of another university that has matched them recently with the talent that they brought into their QB room or leading their team. And I'll tell you just quickly, man, 5 or 6 weeks ago, fans were questioning Bryce Young if he could get it done, if he was the guy that was going to lead Alabama to the championship. And Nick Saban quickly came out and squashed those and told them that they were basically spoiled fans and that they needed to basically shut up and watch this kid do his thing. Over these last couple of weeks, he dominates, beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, just rolls it up these last 5-6 weeks, throwing for well over 300 yards, sometimes 4-5 touchdowns a game. He really separated himself over the last second half of the season here. And like I said, maybe those haters really pushed him forward, but I also think the support from his coach meant a lot for his confidence, and he tore it up here and proved that he's the best player in college football, even as a freshman. And I think it was undoubtedly, it was this guy. There was a couple other guys that were maybe in the question earlier in the season, but like I said, down the stretch, there was nobody better in college football than Bryce Young. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this kid can do. Remember, he's not even eligible to go to the NFL really yet. So he's got to come back. He's got to come back and play his sophomore season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this kid can come back and do off that Heisman year.
Yeah, no question. I think, the other thing too is, he was going to struggle at the beginning of the year just because it's hard. It's hard to take over a national championship winning college football team I think he's actually a sophomore this year. It's changed so much. I don't know if he redshirted last year. Everything is all kind of all over the place. So he's got to play at least one more year before he can go in the draft because he's going to be 3 years removed from high school. But yeah, I mean, in the fact that it took him 5 weeks, that's just totally normal. That's normal for a quarterback to have to kind of get adjusted to that and take, carry the pressure of having to lead a national championship team once again. And I mean, that game against Auburn, which he wasn't flawless. I mean, he made mistakes, but bringing that team back and tying it up and then going to overtime against Auburn late in the year. And then folks have been talking about all year how Georgia is the top college football team with that great defense, and Alabama put up points. And they had a great game against them and a great game plan. But going to the quarterback side of this and how Alabama has sort of become quarterback it's been very unique. I mean, you think about Jalen Hurts, their last quarterback that was good in an NFL caliber quarterback before Jalen Hurts was A.J. McCarron, and he was a 5th-round pick, I think back in, 2014 or right around that time. So it had been from that time until now with Jalen Hurts, where you've actually had an NFL caliber quarterback start for Alabama. And even Jalen Hurts was more of a runner and more of a, not an option quarterback, but people didn't consider him to be this NFL caliber quarterback until he proved it in the NFL. And then you have Tua take over for Jalen Hurts, and then you have Mac Jones take over for Tua when Tua gets hurt, and now you have this stud quarterback come in and Bryce Young. So I think there's a couple of things that are happening here. One is that Alabama is recruiting out of state really well with quarterbacks. Bryce Young's from California, and in the past, it was USC, it was Cal, it was maybe UCLA that would get the top quarterbacks in recruiting. But USC has been, all those teams really have kind of been on a downturn a little bit. Now with Lincoln Riley going to USC, things might change. Maybe Alabama doesn't get the California quarterback in the next couple of years. But Mac Jones is from Jacksonville. We talked about this before. He should have been a Florida Gator. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't have been there. But Florida messed up. Alabama got him, and look what happened. He was the first-round pick in the NFL. So, you look at all these guys, and Alabama's just out-recruiting teams, and they're not just out-recruiting teams at running back anymore or at offensive line or on defense. They're doing it at quarterback now, too. And guys are committing to Alabama knowing that there's a stud quarterback ahead of them, because they keep saying, and they keep seeing these other quarterbacks, and they keep saying to themselves, when it's my turn, I'm getting the keys to a Ferrari. I'm getting the keys to a team that I can win a national championship with just by running the offense. And that will help me get into the NFL. And I don't know when it's going to stop. I mean, they're still going to get great recruits, even no matter what, Lincoln Riley does. LSU's going to get good quarterback recruits with Brian Kelly down there in his offensive system. But I don't see quarterbacks not going to Alabama for a long time. I think there's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks to come after Bryce Young.
Yeah, no, Nick Saban will have a 4 or 5 star quarterback ready to go when Bryce Young's ready to leave. Like you said, he's out recruiting everybody right now. And like we've talked about this, I think a couple of times on this show, all he's got to do is roll up in their living room and say, you want to go to the NFL? All right, cool. Look at all these championship rings. All right, cool. You want to go to Alabama? All right, cool. That's pretty much all he's got to say. Like, it's done deal. Like, and like you said, these quarterbacks are ready to go. They know they're going to get coached by not only Nick Saban, who was a former NFL coach himself and has all these connections to the NFL, but you got Bill O'Brien on the staff, a former NFL coach that's coaching the quarterbacks and the offensive coordinator. So you're getting coached by NFL talent before you're even in the NFL. That's going to help you propel faster to the NFL. Yep. And on top of that, like you said, you're going to have a chance to win the national championship. So for recruiting for him is totally easy. They are going to have another 5-star quarterback ready to go. But just quickly, man, he's got to still lead his team in this playoffs and maybe go for this national championship and maybe beat Georgia for a second time. So I personally think it's going to come down to those two teams, but we're going to see. And we're going to see now that he's got the weight of the Heisman on him too. Is he going to continue to produce? I think he will. I believe in this kid, and I think Alabama is going to finish strong here down the season. Let's move on to topic number 6. Topic number 6 is